Hey there, it's Chris. Welcome back to the Kai Schulin project, where last time, as you can see, we started kind of blocking out the hair after we went and pretty well finished off the hat. We got the little ear flaps going, we got the scrunchie going around the side, yep, and we started kind of blocking out the main ponytail in the back, and just kind of did a real quick mock-up on the bangs in the front there. And this time we're going to be doing everything we can to get... Today is all about hair. We're going to get this looking right, get the bangs, see if we can do these two kind of swooshy things on the side. But to get started on that, I'm not going to lie, I'm looking at this. I don't like this. I think, I've seen people do it this way. They kind of mask things out and kind of carve out what they need. And frankly, I've never actually done hair that way. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do this kind of how I usually go ahead and do this, which is I'm still going to keep a much skinnier core and then just lay the hair on there as is. So let's go and move this stuff around, get ourselves back into business here. And although this, like I said, this isn't terrible, it's not the way I usually do it. It just kind of feels a little awkward kind of going this direction. So I'm going to keep this part that kind of goes into the scrunchy area, but I'm just going to carve off a lot of this. Okay, there's the metal. Found the metal. Just kind of rounding that off a little bit so it doesn't feel square, because that would be really, really awkward if it feels actually square. That's not supposed to. And we want to end this with kind of a point on the bottom, because that may or may not be sticking out at the very end. Okay, I see just a little bit of the metal showing here. So let me just dabble a teeny bit of glue on this bottom right there. That's a really thin piece. Let's see if we can stiffen that one little detail. And then we'll use this as the core. Let me close this off, from which to lay the actual hair. And this is one of those where it's probably going to look weird until it looks right. Okay, so we can see the bottom strand is kind of going... I really don't want anything going further than that. That's already down a little bit below what it usually goes to, or what it goes to in the image. So let's cut a little bit of that off. Because that's really going to be the full length. Let's skinny up this part just a little. Yes, I see a little bit of metal showing there, but it's actually kind of sticking to it a little better this time. So I'm okay with that. I'm doing it off camera. Sorry, thought I moved the camera down. Mine must be in other places. After this, I'm finally going for my first run in forever. Basically, since the Ultra, I haven't really done a whole lot of physical fitness. Well, I guess once this goes live, I will have done almost a week's worth. But as of this recording, I haven't really done that much stuff since then. And like I said, I enjoy taking the time off. That's fine. I'm very seasonal. But getting to the point where temperature is great outside, the weather is good, we're no longer hot, we're in like the 60s. It's great. I like doing this, and it's time to start thinking about getting myself back into a, maybe not even into shape, but stop losing whatever kind of shape I'm in. and just kind of get back at it. I have plans for next year. Let's not start from absolute scratch when we start up with that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is kind of add bits of hair to this. It's going to look very, very weird at the start, but as we add more and more to it, we're going to be good. Just want to kind of make sure we end kind of on a point down here. Now her hair is kind of kept a little bit. We're not going to go as shaggy as, say, Bang's hair was. But I'm just going to add, I'm going to be adding a lot to this, and then we may pare back some things afterwards. We'll add a little bit of, actually all the strands are kind of the same-ish length. Looking at it, it's not like it's that badly. All right, we're going to have a really awkward time because I kind of want to have the head up there, kind of want to have the hair up here, and me rolling on the bottom. So you're going to be missing, I think you're just going to be missing me kind of rolling something. I don't want to keep moving this thing up and down, up and down, up and down. So I'm going to apologize. You're going to be kind of staring at a static image until I add things to this. But it's going to be what it's going to be. But we're going to start seeing, already this is starting to look and feel better. It's not taking much. It's not going to take much. But yeah, this is kind of what we're going for. Let's not go that high. Again, it does get tied in at the kind of the scrunchy area, so I don't want to go too far into that. And I'm just going to be laying the hair on top, then I'm going to continue the striations into this top, the absolute kind of top portion of it. But we're just, yeah, laying stuff in here, and we're going to start making this look a lot more hair-like. Because we're going to have all these ends kind of coming down. They don't necessarily need to be laying right on top of one another. And that's going to help make this feel more real. Like I said, I've seen the other way done before, but this is... Anytime you see the camera shake, you know I'm rolling this thing out. This is just more kind of me when it comes to how I do hair. I've been doing it ever since the very first one. Ever since Lamisa, I've been laying hair like this, so why stop now? Whoa, too big. Too big, too big, too big, too big. Okay, so I do need to make sure that when I do this that I'm actually pushing it into this a little bit so it sticks. Otherwise, I'm going to have problems later on if it's not actually kind of sticking to the core. But I think it's already starting to look okay. I think we're already starting to look okay. We're not seeing as much of the burnt color going on there, so A+ on that. That's the big thing. Hide that. And we are less than 10 minutes in, and I already feel like this is good visual progress. One of those things I'm always looking for, good visual progress. Let's see, we're going to have... Some pieces are going to need to come in, and there will be, like I said, stuff like this, there will be work being done to make some of these pieces kind of get in here and feel right, but by and large, we can do this. The important thing is we want to have a little volume. What I'm looking for is volume on the bottom, so at least have a contrast between down here and up top. So that way it's going to make it look like it's tied in up top, and then it has a little more free rein as it comes down. Some ways to do that is just, I can get a shorter piece and then just kind of blend it in up into the top here. Which, actually, if I have this, I can start to... There's no reason not to kind of start tying some of this stuff into the top. Just kind of putting some striations on things. It's a little bit of a haphazard kind of progress that goes on during this, but in the end, it seemed to work so far for the other ones, so I'm not going to change my process now. Unless I get a model that really, really needs some kind of big changes to make it work. I don't see a need to do any kind of drastic changes at this point. We're going to focus a lot on this outer portion. We'll get to the kind of inner side, but let's at least get this outer portion kind of working. I love doing these little striations. Once the hair gets painted, and it's kind of a dark color, she's got that kind of dark brown going on. I almost thought it felt more blackish in the game. Let's come back to you so we can actually see. But I guess the image here is literally, that's from chapter 1 from the battle in the game. So I just took a screenshot. So I thought it was kind of blackish, but no, it really is kind of more that brownish color, which we will get to when we get to that point. We're not quite at needing to worry about colors yet. Something, we got a weird shadow going on right in here. Don't want weird shadows. Yeah, weird shadows don't do anybody any good. Okay, and she doesn't have a huge amount of hair back here either. This isn't like pure anime girl hair all over the place. So I don't need to go nuts on doing this. Which is good, because I have a feeling the other portions are going to take a little bit more time to do anyway. So, because I am slightly concerned with how the loops on the side and the bangs are going to go, because that's going to be, the loops on the side is going to be the trick, because again, I want her to read as if I can take this on and off, and so I don't want to have the hair banging up against this if possible. So I might have to do a variation of the loop so it kind of fits inside of the collar, so it all kind of works. So if I want to take it on or off, I'm going to have the ability to do that, because it's resting on here and kind of loops down and goes over, and I take this off, it's going to read all kinds of bad. And I don't want it to read all kinds of bad. I really don't. I want things to be good. That's probably about all I really need on this. It gets the point across, the hair's coming out. I can see it's a decent amount coming out. So let's go merge this in. I like seeing the big carrot thing I have going right down the middle. So maybe from the bottom part here, I need some way to kind of hide that a little bit. But from the outside view, this isn't so bad. Whoop, whoop, whoop. That's the other one. Get you in. Yeah, I don't know why. Hair is still one of those things I always get kind of nervous on doing, so I never feel like I really have a game plan. But then I'm looking at the clock, and it's been, what, 16 minutes? And it already kind of looks like it's what I want it to be in the end. So, alright, so what I can do now is kind of, I can give a couple of bigger kind of striations in this so it kind of reads, so it doesn't necessarily read as a big carrot going down the middle. It has a little bit of something. Well, now you're just looking at a hole in the back of the head, so that's awesome. Let's see. I think that needs just... What? Let's not drop it. That's going to give split ends. We don't want that. Yeah, now kind of any place that looks like it's, I wouldn't say manufactured in a way, rather than organic. We're just going to kind of fill those kind of nicely. I could go ahead and just put one right down the middle there. It'll give a little bit more depth to this middle part, and that should fairly well take some of that carrot look out, as we actually now have a real strand going back there. All right, we do want the ends to kind of come to flare out a little bit if given a choice. And of course, this is one of those things where right before hardening, I'm going to be kind of redoing a lot of these striations, because as I'm holding this, as I'm moving around, I'm kind of hitting things. But as long as the major areas kind of read the way I want them to, then we're okay. We have hair. Again, from up front, we don't really see much of what's going on, but maybe I want just a little bit more depth in this. It's just kind of flat and across. I can add a little bit more depth to it. Let's see, we're going to tie that into a little piece that was already up there. Okay, the only important thing to know is when you have this strand going, you can't go from skinny to kind of a little wider, and you can't have any kind of weird loops. It's got to be kind of a smooth transition from one size to another. So when we roll out, we do need to kind of keep some of that in mind. Let's get you just a little more. Yeah, it gives a little more depth to it. So now you kind of look through, you can see stuff behind the first couple strands. And I think that helps kind of give the illusion that I know what I'm doing, which is really just an illusion sometimes. I don't always feel like I know what I'm doing. A lot of times it feels like I'm just making it up as I go. But so there we go. We have a little bit more depth now. You have a front layer, you have a back layer. We have stuff coming out the sides. I could do one more. I could go out the side just a little bit more. Where was I coming off of? Was I coming off of kind of in here? And it kind of fills kind of a little bit of a bare spot that I had in there, which I think is the more important of the parts. I just kind of saw a spot and was like, nope, 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 can't go with that. Okay, so we had this so that it could come out. A bit more, it's going to have a little more of a flare. So with that in there, from the front you can't even see any of it, but I think that's it. We have a hump kind of going in there, so I'm not sure if I need. Actually, now with that, I wouldn't mind having this come in and hump just a little bit in here to kind of match the hump on the outside just a little. So I can just cut a little bit of that off, and then we go and just kind of apply some of these, kind of continue some of these strands up and in. And then lightly give the striation again. And that feels like it's less of that hump kind of coming. There's a hump here and it went straight there. So then the two of those didn't feel right together. This is feeling a little bit better. It's now a little more cohesive, I guess is the word I'm going for. Okay, so if I have that, that feels okay. We're kind of filling the space of the scrunchie, which is what I want. And the question is, do I glue this thing in yet or not? And I probably should actually glue this in. Now, originally I was debating whether or not to have this as a separate piece. I can then harden it separately and this, that, the other be done. The problem with that is I have this strand that comes down here and is going to tie into this. So this has to be in place with the hat. This is why we're doing the entire thing as we did in the first place. This has to be in league with the hat. So I really do need to, at this point, I think I want to glue this on. And then anytime we do more work on this hair, we're going to need to be very, very careful about that. Okay, so I saw glue come out of there. I can just leave that in there for a sec, let it do its thing. Which is a little awkward because I'm kind of gluing it to a soft surface. I'm gluing the undone stuff to the undone stuff. So, no, it feels like it's holding. Okay, good. Which does mean if I need to, I can still pull this thing out. It'll just be a little more awkward doing that. If something goes drastically wrong, I can still do stuff. But at the same time, now with this in place, the scrunchie will theoretically stay in place. And I don't need to worry about that. What I do need to worry about is getting these things. All right. You know what I think I'd rather do on this is get a longer piece, kind of bend it to size, and then cut it to the size I need. So where... hold on one sec. I cut the thing. Where did the end wind up? End? All right, how about the other end? Can we find an end of this? Oh, we found an end and I found the other. Okay, I found both. Thank goodness. That's cut way more than I need. This way, if I have more than I need, I can get the arc the way I want it to be and then cut off the ends, because it's really hard kind of manipulating the very far end of this. So if I can get kind of... And I debated doing this off camera and decided, no, that's... Actually, no, that's not true. I debated doing this off camera, then started focusing on how I was going to do the back of the hair and just kind of forgot about it. But overall, when we do this, it has to come from kind of this point in here into the back. So, and it goes, according to the side image, according to this image, it comes way down over here. The problem I'm going to have with that is I'm going to need to, I guess I could angle you out just a little bit. Actually, it's not too bad. Angling it out's not fine. We can go on the outside edge of that. First, I had thought I was going to go inside, but really it's... If it goes out, that's not terrible. It doesn't really follow the laws of any kind of how hair works, but... Okay, so that kind of comes out. We're going to come in, and I see that we're re-following the hair on the side, which is good. So I'm going to have something like that. Okay, I got the pliers out. So if I'm coming down here, I want right about where my fingers are. And I need to bend this in, because then that's going to shoot into the hair and be held in over there. So you're going to go in and boop. Don't hit that. Into that. You're going to come down and be fine. I want a little less. Yeah, something like that. Okay. Now, there's not much hair to go into, so I need to really shorten this nub a lot. scooted itself behind my computer. That's okay. And then this end has to go into the hat. So if I have that going there, we're up top. I almost want to be down just a little bit more. And we need this swoosh to feel natural. We can't have any kind of jugs in here. That would be not cool. Okay, that's coming down there. Maybe just a little bit less. Something like that. So I now want this kind of cut up top here. And that's going to go up into the hat underneath. And that's going to give this kind of whatever the heck is going on with their hair dealy. Because frankly, I don't know what's going on with their hair. Okay, and what I can do is then kind of I can use this and get myself kind of a rough approximation on the other side. Again, this doesn't have to be an exact match, but it should wind up being somewhat close in the end. All right, what were we? We're kind of down here. That's fine. I'm going to want a little more in of that, a little bit up. Let's give a little more of a bow in there, so again it feels kind of natural, like it's just hanging there. And there we go, we have a generalized form. Which I should be able to use this as then a blueprint. Well, you got to change the scenery for the other side here. Now, which side was which? So I should be able to go. This one's a little nicer in that gravity naturally has us going over the edge of that. So actually, yeah, this didn't turn out too bad. I come out just a little bit. And I think I take you somewhere around here. I can go in. And that does kind of match where I put you on this. So let's go cut this just a little bit. Again, we don't need anything too long because we're going to have problems if we do. Realize we have to tweak you that way a little. And what's our general size? General size is going to be coming down here like that, so I can just cut the top here to be exactly the same. Okay, you're here, you're here. All right, so how do I do this? So what I should do is let me take that off. We're going to be reapplying that real soon in a hopefully more finished form. But okay, so what I need now, once again, I'm rolling. I'm getting myself, you know what? Let me do it. Rather than do the rolling way, let's see, if I don't need to glue this thing on, that would be fantastic. But we're going to see if this works. Because again, I'm not using this as a base for anything. This just is what it is. So it may not stick here particularly well. but in fact, it's not going to stick at all. I can already feel it's not going to stick at all. And this is really a fairly thin piece that goes on. Try to do something to roll it out. Okay, I just have too much stuff on here. Let's get some of that off. I'd kind of been planning to... I didn't know how much small talk I was going to be able to do here and how much I could actually... I thought I was going to go into more to kind of my fitness kind of plans for next year, but we're just kind of stuck on small talk mode on this right now. There will be time for fitness stuff, believe me. I'm not 100% getting started at this point. I just want to get... I haven't done... Outside of like a couple of hikes and whatnot, I really haven't done much running or biking or anything since the event last month, which actually has been getting close to about a month ago. Actually, I think it was pretty much exactly a month ago, thinking about it. So it's time to at least do the minimum to get back. So when I actually start up again, probably around Thanksgiving, I can get back. Again, with the knowledge I gained from the Killington race, I would like to use that to aim for a good time on the Vernon one in the Spartan thing. The time where I quote-unquote qualified for Worlds, again, the World Championship, at least for the ultra distance one, when they first started, used to be top 10 in your age group in any given race and you qualify. They've since made it that if you run an ultra in a year, you qualify, because not enough people are signing up. So when I say I qualify for this, what it means is I got it, so I finished in the top 10 in my age group, even though it wasn't necessary at the time. That's still, for me, what I would signify as qualifying for. So when I did that at the Vernon race, I had run, I think it was like a 9:30 or 9:40, something in that range, 9 hours, like 30 or 40 minutes. And I think with what I learned from the Killington one, I can probably get that down to a sub 9, like an 8 something. So that's going to be my goal on this one going forward and I'm going to bring my whole training plan in here if anybody wants to follow along. It's kind of a user-friendly training plan I use. I give myself more time than I need to do it. And yeah, it just kind of works out. All right, now I do need this end to be skinny, if anything, either skinnier or equally sized to the other side, because the hair starts over here and goes towards that. So let's take just a little bit of this off. Yeah, really, you probably need about 3 or 4 months to really get ready for a race like that, and I give myself 5. So with that in mind, it becomes kind of, I'm going to say, a more user-friendly. If somebody were to follow along, it's something they could actually do. It doesn't start out like the super intense. You're not going to like boot camp to get this stuff, to get what I'm kind of done. But yeah. But each year I do it, I kind of learn a little something, and I can add that little something to my repertoire. And this time I learned how to hike trail, or I learned how to like hike hills and whatnot more correctly. And I'm going to be adding some of those too. Cycling I thought was really good towards getting the quote-unquote time on my feet aspect going well, while also pushing the muscles required to climb hills. So I thought that was really good. The only thing is I need to actually do more trail running in the end. That I didn't do enough of. Again, because of summer heat, I was fearing what that was going to do during training. I'm much better in cold weather stuff, so I traded a lot of my trail runs for bike rides on the weekends. And just to get my legs ready for the pounding they're going to take on the downhills. Vernon, it's not nearly as bad as Killington, but it does have some areas that kind of hit. So just for that, I'm going to be adding some of those back into the mix. It'll probably be a trade-off come like from the March and April time frame, because the race is in end of April, of trail running maybe 1 week, cycling kind of the next, or maybe Sunday I do one, Saturday I do a different. I don't know. I haven't fully figured this out, but I do have a rough kind of game plan of how I can change up or adapt what I usually do to what I have learned. Where's my roller? Where's my smoother guy? I have 3 tools, and one of them has disappeared. Oh, there we go. Okay. It fell behind my computer somehow. I haven't moved my computer, so I'm not sure how that happened. Okay, so I see the time now. So what I'm going to do is I will 100% do this one, and I will do the bang on the corresponding side. And then if I don't finish the other in time, I may just finish off the rest of the hair off camera. So then hat and hair stuff will be done. I'll harden it. And then I believe next time we're going to start just kind of doing some of these little smaller detail areas. We have the ammo box on the side, the ammo belt on the side, and we have the rifle we need to get done. So, going to need to get onto those. But I do want to get this right. And you can see it takes a lot of finagling to kind of get proportions of this right. Like I said, if anything, I want this side wider, this side skinnier, so I'm just kind of adding a little more to this side so that we kind of can make it work. I can't make the other side much skinnier. This is kind of the thickness of my wire. It's going to be, I want something that's going to be strong enough to hold this. So it's a little beefier than, say, the twist tie wire that I've used in the past. But I think in the end, that's not a bad thing. I also think we're starting off still very thick. And I didn't need to add all this stuff on the back. Just keep everything thin. As long as I'm not seeing a wire when I'm cutting through this, we good. Okay, that's reading a little better. That is reading better. Yeah, just take all this stuff I added off. Don't need any of it. If we do see a little bit of wire, that's actually okay. As long as it's not super much, I can work with just a little bit of visible wire. The primer I use on this is just the primer I have lying around my house when I get to that stage. And it's one of those that works on plastics, works on ceramics, works on metals, it's like the hard to cover primer. So if I do have little bits of metal here or there just kind of showing, that's okay in the end. Okay, that's not terrible. So how do I get you to go up? So I think I kind of want to get that up and in, and then you go across. And I think I need you to be in just a little bit more. that kind of works, except you're a little fat right down here. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna be doing the other side off camera. We're gonna get this side in. You're gonna see how it works, and we are 100% doing the other one off camera because this just takes too long. Because this is a very fickle. Once you start dealing with kind of thin things like this, it becomes very fickle to get it to read the way we want it to read. That's the hat. You better come off. Oh, I need you to go right into there. And I can see I want you to go up a little higher. So let's bend you in that little bit. Okay, we might be a little closer. We have the hole. We can reuse the hole. That's good. Yeah, that's looking a little better. Because then from here, that can go in there. And that's going to give us kind of our loop, our derpy looking loop thing on the side, which I like, except I want it to be a little more that direction, a little more kind of sideways-ish. And in doing that, I just pulled all this clay right back off. But let me just get this clay on real quick. I'll finish smoothing this off camera. You just saw what it is. I can finish smoothing that off camera. That goes in. Oh, I need you to come in just a little bit more now. That's going to come down there. And we can go and kind of fill in some of this back. So this looks okay. I'll be honest, I really don't understand this dumb hair looking thing, but it's part of what makes her her, so we are just going to deal with it. It's part of what makes Kai Kai. But we now have the hair kind of going in there. It comes around, it does its little loopy thing. It's going to go disappear up there. And so the other one that we need to do is we have the little bang up front. So if I have a piece of this, we're going to have that piece kind of come up and in the bottom of the hat. We probably want the front view on this. And this comes down, if I'm going in the hat, and come down something like here. And this is pretty straight. It has just a little bit of a whoop. Sorry about that. Dropping things. A little bit of kind of a goop at the end. And I'll be able to stick this up and in, and it comes down. So same kind of idea as the other one. Again, the reason I'm not really gluing this thing onto it is that's going to make it almost too thick, I feel like, because this kind of hardens and then becomes, yeah, too much. I feel like I have more control to get, I have more ability to get this thinner without that kind of on here. Oop. Besides, once this all kind of hardens in, it's going to be all good in the end. So I'm not super concerned on that front. Okay, we do want that. Okay, I'm kind of pushing up a little bit as I'm squeezing this, so any extra goes up top and makes the top part a little thicker than the bottom by design, because that's kind of what we want. Now I'm just smoothing out, so if it does get thinner, it does so in a nicer fashion. Then I can bring this up. I think I want just a little bit thinner overall than this. Too much, too much, too much, too much, too much. Or was that just the right amount of cutting off to make this work? All right, we do that, and that kind of gets us to what we want. And this is going to be bang that kind of comes down. Actually, no, we do want a little flatter on the side. Okay, didn't need to cut that off. We do want that little, not that much. I do want a little bit. I know I could be moving this camera up and down. This is now I'm now leaving you in the dark by choice. This was going to be one of those days of a lot of up and down, a lot of up and down, a lot of, so we're just not dealing with that. You're going to go sick. I'm going to forget to move it a number of times. And it's just easier if I know the camera is up here all the time. Okay, so there we go. We are now definitely a little thicker up top than down there. That's going to come up. And I think that's not too bad. What I can do is I'm giving an impression that the wire is a little more curved by now making this side thinner, the front side a little thicker, and in the back, I have the back stick out a little bit, and it comes back to the front. It'll make it feel a little more like it's a little more curved than what it actually is. And if it's not perfect, that's okay. I'm going to be adding little striations to this too. And this kind of starts pretty much right where that is. So that comes into the hat there, and bam, we have that piece. Doesn't look particularly good. Not gonna lie. Doesn't look particularly good. Now what I do want is the hat to come out just a little bit more, so that it actually covers this stuff as it goes in. But we didn't harden the hat yet, so we can blend some of this, which is nice. Because the effect doesn't work if the hair is sticking out equal to or beyond the hat. So we need to stick in a little bit in front of. Add a little bit of I'm not really done with that part. We add a little bit of striation stuff to that. I could do, what time are we? Well, I think given the time, I'm just gonna end it kind of right there. Like I said, off camera, I'm gonna go, I'll do the other side, I'll get the other bang, kind of clean up all this stuff, harden all that, and then yeah, that's how we go about with the hair. And yeah, no, this does look now much better than I think I was gonna be getting it before. I'm happy. I'm not happy about this thing. I still don't I just don't. But rest of it's kind of okay. Rest of it kind of works. This might be a hair long, but the rest of it kind of works. But that's where we're going to end this. And yeah, until next time, where we're going to start doing the either rifle or one of those two things. We're going to start doing the detail stuff. Because for all intents, Kai as a character, as a person, Kai is done. Now, like I said, it's just details. And I'm kind of happy about that. And until then, until next time, enjoy.